In a small village, surrounded by hills and ancient trees, there lived a man named Elias. He wasn't rich or famous, but he believed in honest work, simple faith, and the value of small things. He had a modest home, a lovingly tended garden, and a peaceful routine. But life, as it often does, began to turn its back on him. First, he lost his job. Then his wife fell ill. And little by little, the garden, once full of flowers, began to wither. Everything seemed to slip through his fingers. Elias woke up every day with the same thought. Why doesn't anything work out for me? He felt like someone trying to row against a never-ending current, and the more he struggled, the more he drowned in his own frustration. One cold night, sitting in front of the almost extinguished fireplace, he whispered, "If there is a purpose to all this, please show me, because I can no longer understand." Silence, just the sound of the wind hitting the windows and the wood crackling in low embers. And in that stillness, Elijah fell asleep, never realizing that sometimes what seems like the end is just the beginning of a new understanding. The next morning, the sky dawned dark, heavy, and different. The wind began to blow hard, the clouds gathered, and within minutes, what had been a drizzle turned into a storm. Elias ran inside the house, trying to protect what little was left. He closed doors, secured windows, covered what he could. But suddenly, a crash echoed through the roof, a loud, dry crack followed by the sound of wood breaking. Part of the ceiling split open, and rain began to pour into the room. He tried to cover it with a cloth, with a board, but it was useless. The water was flooding the house, and the wind was making everything shake, until, exhausted, he sat on the wet ground and cried, "Isn't it enough what life has taken from me? Now it wants to take even the roof over my head." Elias stood there for hours, watching the water seep through the cracks in the wall. When the storm finally ceased, he fell asleep. Tired of fighting, tired of resisting. If this story has touched something within you, leave a comment below with one word: light, so I know you're with me this far, and that this message is getting where it needs to go. Dawn arrived silently. The rain stopped, the wind calmed down, and then a beam of light shot through the hole in the ceiling. It was a golden ray, warm and soft, that illuminated the floor of the room. Elijah opened his eyes and stood still, watching the light dancing on the drops of water. For a moment, he forgot everything: the pain, the loss, the fear. That light, coming in where the storm had destroyed, seemed to say something. Something simple, but powerful. Something had to break so that the light could enter. He stood up slowly, walked to the center of the room, and held out his hand. He felt the warmth of the sun touch his skin. He smiled. A small but sincere smile, the first in a long time. For days, Elijah watched the sunrise through that opening. He decided not to fix the ceiling immediately. He let the hole remain as a reminder, because now he saw beauty even in what was broken. Maybe life didn't do you wrong. Maybe she just opened the roof so you could see the sky. As the days passed, Elijah began to repair his house, not in haste but with presence. Each hammer blow seemed like a silent dialogue between him and life. As he arranged the boards, he thought about everything he had lost: the job, the stability, the plans. But somehow, all of it had brought him to this moment of reconnection, of calm, of acceptance. He realized that the problem was never that things went wrong. The problem was that he believed that wrong could not contain something good. As he swept the floor, he saw the reflection of light coming through the ceiling and spreading across the cracked floor. And he understood. Nothing was in vain. Each loss opened a new space within me. And perhaps it was exactly this space that life needed to fill with meaning. Suffering does not define us, it just reveals the part of us that was previously hidden. Elias then decides to write a short phrase on a piece of wood and hang it on the wall. What the storm took away, the light gave back. Months pass. The garden blooms again. The house remains simple, but full of life. The ceiling remains with that opening, not as a wound, but as a memory. Every morning, Elias watches the sun rise and smiles. He understands now that life never goes wrong. She just leads you down paths that at first seem meaningless. Nothing went right, and yet everything made sense, because the meaning is not in things that remain perfect. It is in those that resist even after being broken. Light enters where pain once made its way. Life doesn't always explain, but it always teaches. If this story touched your heart, like the video and subscribe to the channel now. Here, every week, you'll find stories like this that heal, inspire, and remind you that even pain has a purpose. Thank you for being here. And remember, even when nothing goes right, life still knows exactly what it's doing.